Well, I've had a couple of nights in Bordeaux and now back on the road. Google Maps so far has taken me down some quite quiet country roads just north of Bordeaux. I've got about an hour and a half riding ahead of me before I cross the Charente estuary, which is the meeting point of the Garonne and the Dordogne rivers, into my next stage of the cycle tour. Had a quiet time in Bordeaux, mainly recovering, getting ready for the next stage, which will be hillier and harder and less satisfying. I've been getting a bit of feedback on Twitter to my assertion that roads were invented for cars, not cyclists. A lot of other cyclists think that I'm a cyclist hater. But anybody who's been on a bicycle knows that it's the truth. Now, I've had a bit of comment from people, not always very kind comments, about why I'm not wearing my yellow jersey at any given time. And the truth is I've got three sets of gear. One is the shorter gear like this, which includes the bib, which is very challenging to relieve oneself from, and then I've got the longer yellow top, and then a wool fleece set for when it's really cold. It makes for a lot more weight, but it means that at a stretch I don't have to wash my gear quite so often. I haven't made a whole lot of progress today so far, but I'm still waiting to catch the ferry. I've missed the 4:30 p.m. one, so I'll be on the 6 p.m. ferry, and then I'll need to track as far north as I can as quickly as possible to try and find a rest spot for the night. Haven't thought through this very much, but I'm not going to fret about it now. Well, it is just after 8 p.m. I have found a very remote campsite for tonight. I'm in the middle of a forest, just off one of the forestry tracks. Sun's going down. I'm going to make some dinner soon. It's going to be another spectacle. It's so remote here. I rode my bike about an hour down the road and there wasn't a single vehicle that passed. I think I heard some howling before, so I hope it wasn't a wolf. I don't think this is a hunting area. It's a regional park. It's not even cell phone reception. So it's going to be a very quiet night, just me and mountains of bugs. And just like that, I have dinner on the go. It's not a very flat surface, and it's a little bit wobbly. But you can see I have made, again, chili con carne, a slightly different recipe. It's supposed to come on like that, because it comes from a slightly different can. There's more meat in this one, so it is coming along nicely. And I'm too modest to admit it, but if there were a Nobel Prize for making dinner quickly and simultaneously not setting one's own tent or the forest on fire, then I think I'd definitely win it. Well, so far I had a very quiet sleep, uninterrupted by the wolves. Even the bugs stopped attacking me. I've covered 50 kilometres so far this morning. It's not even midday, so quite happy with progress. I've got 28 more before I go to my camping site. I haven't eaten this morning other than a few lollies. My chocolate melted in the heat yesterday, which was probably inevitable given it was up over 30 degrees. There's a cycle path along here, and this is one of the problems with cycle paths. There's no point in putting a cycle path down a road that has no cars. Stick them where there are lots of vehicles so that cyclists are safe. In the meantime, I'm going to ponder this and other big questions before I go find somewhere to get something to eat. So it's taken me 15 days, 1,300 kilometres from the foothills of the Alps down to the Mediterranean and across southern France, and I have now reached the Atlantic Ocean. It's quite noisy here, lots of water, but a cool breeze that'll help push me north to my campsite for tonight. This is now getting quite serious. It's not even 3 o'clock and I've already set up camp. I've checked in and I'm wearing my bib like a Borat mankini. This is where I'm going to be staying for the night. A few other people around, but otherwise pretty peaceful. I need to find some salt so that I can talk about salt tonight. I think that would be a helpful episode for everyone. Now, I thought I was all done with cycling today, but I've just been on a quick jaunt to the supermarket for an urgent round of supplies. This is a eco-friendly camping site, and as such they don't use any nasty chemicals. But what I found, first thing I found when I pitched my tent was, although I started in the shade, within half an hour the sun was streaming in and it was too hot to do anything in the shed. Secondly, within minutes I was covered with these little tiny orange mites, and I'm a bit of a hypochondriac and I think that all mites are out to kill me. So I have been to get some solutions, which I'm not going to tell the guy who runs the campsite about. The first one is, it's a French product called Raid. And I'm just going to give everything a bit of a spray. That's the outside done. I haven't done the lid. And inside. That has saved me, but hopefully doesn't get me expelled from the vicinity. When I was in Toulouse, I talked about the importance of the Albigensian Crusades, and ended in 1229, that brought about the unification of Occitanie with the rest of France as we know it now. What it also provided to France was a massive supply of salt along the Mediterranean and Atlantic coastlines. Salt from the 13th century onwards became known as white gold, and being so valuable, the French crown sought to tax it It took a good 300 years before the Dutch Golden Age came along. The Dutch were the great traders of Northern Europe, more so even than the Venetians were in the south, and they needed salt. They liked their pickled herrings, and you can't pickle herrings without salt. You can't sell pickled herrings for Baltic grain without salt. So they were pretty keen on French salt. And as such, they traded in salt, and they started acquiring other things. They started enjoying the wine from the Bordeaux region. The problem with shipping French wine from Bordeaux up to the Netherlands is that it tends to spoil in the process. So the Dutch decided it was best to distill the wine before they sent it. And that is how the Cognac came along. It was the first commercially distilled and traded spirit in existence. It precedes rum, it precedes commercial sale of whiskey, bourbon, gin, anything you like to drink. And I'd like to thank the Dutch for that, for the cognac and for their love of salt.